welcome to the Book Bar, where everything bookish is on the menu. I'm Ann Jeanette Barr, and today I thought I would do a little bit of a chatty talk with you. I haven't done a writer's hour video in a long time, so I decided that would be fun. I just have a few minutes to record. I'm being boring today. I'm having water. I'm actually going out for dinner and drinks soon, and so I wanted to just be nice to my body. So I thought I would just chat a little bit about literary representation. What is a literary agent and why do I want to be one? And yeah, I hope you enjoy. So I thought I would kind of break this video into three parts. The first being, what is a literary agent? What do they do? Why you might want one. And then second is why I personally want to be a literary agent. And then the third is going to be how a person goes about becoming a literary agent, because I know that someone might find this video while searching for that. So I'll put timestamps in the description just in case you want to skip ahead, especially if you already know all about what a literary agent is. But I encourage you to read it if you're curious, or listen to it, watch it if you're if you're curious, because I actually had some misconceptions about what a literary agent is, and have learned over the years. So some people think about literary agents as a person who's kind of a gatekeeper, and you have to have one to get a good book deal, but I'm not sure that everyone really thinks of them as an asset, more like a necessary evil. I think that's where I was at the beginning, and I think a lot of people, now that there's so many different ways to publish and there are so many good options for publishing, I think some people have almost a negative association with literary agents, and I think that's really a shame, especially for those of us who could really use an agent, because we may not think about trying to acquire one if we kind of have this feeling of a literary agent is someone who's kind of elitist, which is the impression I get from some people, and that I maybe had, maybe not quite so strong as that, but I had some feelings about that at the beginning, because I just didn't really understand what a literary agent did. So an agent for authors is someone who does a number of things, but primarily an advocate for the author. An agent helps an author, yes, get a good book deal, sometimes with an advance, sometimes not, but that also could just be, even if an author could get a book deal without an agent, it could be just that the agent really safeguards the author from signing away rights that they don't want to sign away, or from getting a worse deal than they really honestly could get, but they don't know any better because they don't have the experience. So an agent is an experienced advocate for the author, totally on the author's side. The agent actually doesn't get paid until the author gets paid. Agents usually take about a 15% cut of the royalties or the advance, both. Whatever the author makes, agents take 15% on average of that. And so if the book doesn't sell, the agent doesn't get paid. So on the flip side of that, something an agent is not is someone you hire. There are lots of different roles in the book world, and some of them you absolutely pay up front, and that's just how it works, and it's not a scam. But if an agent ever charges a reading fee, or they'll say, I'll represent you for $500, or any random type of getting money from your pocket, that agent is not an agent of repute. So be careful about that. Agents really put in a lot of work before they get paid, and I think that's one of the reasons why we should really be grateful for agents in this industry, that agents generally tend to be people who really love books and who really love coaching authors, and that's the next thing that agents do. Yes, they help you acquire a contract or contracts, hopefully, but also they coach you in your career. So there's two kind of sides of this coaching. An agent, one, coaches you in your manuscript creation and submission to editors, but an agent also coaches you in your whole career. So I think most agents and authors, if they have a good relationship, would love to stay with each other for more than one book. When you query an agent with your manuscript, you give them something that's complete, more or less, or sometimes if it's nonfiction, you may be giving them a proposal that's, maybe not completely fleshed out, but in nonfiction, sometimes there's room for approaching industry professionals before it's complete, but with fiction, it's complete. When you give that agent a sample of your manuscript, if you fill out a query letter and or you talk to them at an event or like a conference, you are asking them to coach you in the completion of that manuscript. So an agent is usually also a developmental editor. They will take the manuscript, they'll read it if they decide to give it a chance, and if they're interested in representing you, then they'll read it, and if it's a good fit for them, they'll give you suggestions. We need to tighten it up here. This plot line doesn't work. We should just take it out. They may tell you something like, this character is not believable because, and then you can change that character. They may say, I really think this book would do better if we switched the point of view. You as the author, of course, get to make those final decisions, but an agent actually gives you really great writing advice. So that's another huge reason to have an agent at your side, because everyone can be a better writer and every manuscript can be a better manuscript. And the agent is another person that will see and polish that manuscript before it gets to the editor. And of course, the better the manuscript, the better a chance is that it's going to do well in the long run and that it might get a good deal from a publishing company. Agents also look at your career as a whole, and they may say, what do you want out of this? Is this a one book thing that you're just really hoping for success? Is this your magnum opus? Or are you an author who's just starting out and you need advice on which manuscripts of the many that you have kind of floating around in your head should you follow up this one with? Which order should you think about publishing them in? Is this a series? Is this something that has a lot of potential for adaptations, like film adaptations? And they may ask you, like, are you hoping to build a public speaking career from this? Is this like your side thing? Is this your primary thing? And then they're going to coach you in their experience. This is the best way to go about this. And that's such a huge asset to have. A friend, essentially, who actually cares about your career. If you are a writer, you know that it's sometimes a lonely business. So that is another thing that agents do. So an agent, like I said, helps you get a book deal. They help you with the book itself and your career in general. And they also act as a buffer between you and the editor at your publishing company when you do get a deal, which may not sound like something that you necessarily need, because editors also need your book to do well so that they can get paid. So they don't necessarily have ulterior motives. They're not out to get you. But at a publishing house, they have a bottom line, and they've got to, make a profit. And part of that profit is going to go to you as an author. So it's in their best interest to give you a worse deal, not worse as in like they don't want you to succeed, but they want you to, they're going to give you what they feel like they can offer. And an agent can come along and kind of nudge them and negotiate, but sometimes that gets tricky. If the editor at the publishing house is saying, we can't do an advance. We don't know that this book is going to earn out its advance. That means that we don't know if it's going to sell enough copies to make that a number that we're giving that author. And so we'd really rather just do no advance, but this, royalty rate. It means they get this percentage of each sale. And the agent may come back and say, my author really needs an advance. They've got this going on and they need at least this much. And they'll be able to negotiate without the author ever having to kind of get in the ring with that editor. And that way the editor and the author's relationship is preserved. And of course the editor and the agent are professionals used to doing this dance, and so they're not going to hurt each other's feelings like the author's feelings might get hurt. So I think that's another really good point, is having that agent preserves the relationship that you have with the publishing company. And if that goes well and you really love the way they handled your book, you're set up in the future for multiple books with that publishing house without having to kind of deal with all the things that you may not be comfortable with. So that means you get to focus on writing. You know, an agent allows the writer to focus on writing the books, and then, you know, allows the agent to take on some of that extra weight. And then, yes, the agent gets compensated for that. So I'm going to tell you why I want to be a literary agent, and I think that will kind of highlight some more things that agents are for. I have been a writer now for a long, long time, and I really enjoy writing. I write some things I think well, some things better than others. I've experimented with lots of different kinds of writing, and it's been hit and miss because that's how writing goes. But the more I've written and the more I've published, be it in books or literary journals or online, the more fascinated I have become with the behind the scenes, all the things that go into making a book the best book that it can be and getting it into readers' hands. There's a lot of things that I like about the publishing world, even more than I like writing, because writing is very exhausting emotionally. For me, it takes a lot of concentration, and I have a very busy life, and sometimes it's really hard to muster that concentration. But I love it, and it's very therapeutic, it's very fulfilling. I'll never not write. But the strategy of publishing uses a different part of my brain and uses a different kind of energy. Still creative, but maybe not as emotional. And so I really love being a part of things like critique groups and helping friends who are thinking about publishing kind of strategize and, you know, dream a little. I really enjoy that. I love talking shop with other writers about the things we're considering and, you know, planning out how we should do certain things. And it just finally occurred to me at some point that yes, I can still be a writer, but I think I actually want a career making this happen for other people. You know, getting to experience this joy of publishing more often than I can my own self with writing because it takes so much more time. And I started looking into all the different ways that I could be involved with publishing. I volunteered on the editorial board for a newspaper for a little while. I judged a book contest, multiple book contests. I made a video about that, kind of my experience as a book contest judge. And I'm actually judging some more this year just for fun, so I did enjoy that. I've done lots of different things. I've gotten my feet wet with developmental editing. I'm not a great line editor, which is the grammar and syntax and details, not because I'm bad at grammar, but because that line by line detail is not exciting to me. I don't enjoy it. I have another video about the different types of editing if you're curious about that. Should be in a playlist with this one. So I've tried a lot of different things, and I kind of narrowed it down to something like wanting to be the person that gets to like identify the books that need to be published. So kind of a talent scouting job is what I really like, because I get really excited when I read a friend's story that's, you know, she or he is working on, and I just think, oh, this book has to be read. This is such a good book. And a literary agent gets to be that person who says, someone read it, and then people listen to them. It's amazing. And another role, kind of the flip side of that, I was considering would be an acquisitions agent at a publishing company who, you know, sees all the manuscripts that get submitted and then decides which ones to pursue. But both of those have nuanced roles, and I really think that I'll enjoy being a literary agent, getting to work closely with an author and follow that author throughout their career and be that advocate for them. I also don't mind the technical aspects of it. The contract language doesn't intimidate me. There's a lot of aspects to a contract that have to do with how long a publishing house can have rights to this book, what they can do with it, how much money they make from it, of course, how much say the author has, what happens if the publishing company goes bankrupt and folds, you know, all those things. I like the details of that aspect well enough that I'm looking forward to that. And I just really want every day to be in this book world, which is what my booktube channel is. You know, it's my thoughts and my being able to be excited about books from the consumer side point. So yes, I want to be a literary agent so that I can just really be immersed in the whole process of books becoming published works of art instead of just, you know, treasures that the writers only have access to. So how I decided to do that, and this goes into number 3, there are lots of different ways to potentially become a literary agent, and there's no one mechanism that makes it 100% sure that you are going to be able to do this job. So that was a really interesting thing to learn when I decided, oh, I think this role might be good for me. It wasn't easy to figure out how to make that happen, especially because I'm a 38-year-old person living in isolated Alaska, and most of the publishing houses and literary agencies are in specific hubs in the United States that I'm not near and don't have access to. But of course, the internet means that we all have much more access to everything than we ever did before. So I did have to do a lot of research about how I might ever even break into this industry. Even with all the publishing work that I've done in the past, I didn't make those specific connections. So if I had to break down from my perspective, from my research, the ways that you can become a literary agent, there's kind of 2 or 3 ways. 3 ways. One would be to know about this job, which I didn't know about this job, and start to pursue it even in your undergraduate and graduate studies. If you know that you want to work in publishing, then while you are a student is a great time to take internships, take classes first that will give you the experience you need, but then also internships. And then if you're at the beginning of your adult life, you may have more flexibility and get to actually move to New York or LA or Chicago or someplace where you're able to actually work in office at a place like this, even at entry level, and then gain the experience and the relationships you need. I think that's probably the most common way that people become a literary agent, is by pursuing a career in publishing, even from the time that they are in their undergraduate studies. The second would be similar, and that would be just forming connections through a different job in publishing. So it's not that uncommon for an editor at a publishing house to then decide to become an agent, or the other way around. Someone who's working in publicity, for instance, may decide that they really like the other side of it and they're going to want to be an agent. And then they already have the industry connections and they're kind of career hopping, but they're already in that world. So if you have the opportunity to get into any publishing job, that may be a good avenue. And then there's the way I'm doing it, which is just the good old hustle. Trying really hard. I am attempting multiple things. You know, I set my sight on this career and I don't have a very obvious path to it, but I also feel like perseverance is going to get me there, not just by thinking about it, but by continuing to build relationships and try everything I can to get there. So I'll tell you my plan. While I was researching the different ways that people become literary agents, I had a conversation with a friend who's a writer who used to work in a different area of publishing, and I was kind of lamenting to her that, you know, I'm not 18 or 21 or 24. I can't just jump into these internships because I applied to one and like it was crickets. And a lot of them that I looked at were very specific about, you know, you need to be able to get credit for your internship. And she said, well, in LA, what a lot of people did was they just took a class. They took a writing class from somewhere that made them a student, and then they were able to apply for the internships. And I thought, well, I'm not in LA and it's not that easy, but I could look at classes. I'd be willing to take some online classes. So I looked around and ended up finding 2 programs that offer a certificate in literary representation. There's no official something that you have to become a literary agent, and so a certificate in literary representation is not like a license to practice. There's nothing about getting the certificate that means that I will be a literary agent. There's actually nothing at all that you need to be able to call yourself a literary agent. So if I wanted to, I could just say, hi, my name is Anjanette Barr and I'm a literary agent. I feel like that would be cheating. I'm not going to do that. I need more experience before I put an author's reputation on the line like that. I want to be helpful, but the reality is that I don't necessarily need a certificate, but I did find 2 certificate programs. One is at UCLA Extension online. It can be completely remote, digital classes, and the other was, I think, Pacific Northwest University. I should look. I'll put it in the description. I obviously did not decide to go with that one. I can't remember which university it was. Also an online certificate. They were very similar. I ended up going with UCLA because I liked the sound of their classes a little bit better, and I am actually 3 classes out of 5 into my certificate in literary representation. And even if I don't need this certificate, and even if the certificate isn't what ends up catching someone's attention, what a helpful experience it has been. I've taken classes on developmental editing, rights and contracts, and now the editorial role at the publishing house, and just basically everything that goes into making a book. A lot of it I already knew, but so much of it, I just don't know how I would have found out some of these things otherwise, except for experience in-house at a publishing company or a literary agency, which would be really difficult to get otherwise. So I've made some relationships with some literary agents, I've made relationships with other writers, and I've just learned a lot that will be very helpful to me in the future when I'm working in this role. And I do have an opportunity to get credit for an internship. So if I wanted to do that, if I want to apply for an internship at some point, I could get credit. I have personally decided I don't really want to go that route because I feel that with all the different things that I've done in writing, I do have a very good working knowledge of the publishing industry. I don't know that it's quite appropriate to start at the intern level for me. I also have a limited amount of time. One of the great things that about being a literary agent from my perspective, one of the reasons it appeals to me, is that it's very flexible. So although it is contract work, which means I don't get that 15% until I sell, this book to someone, and I'm going to do a lot of work up front, I can take on, the number of clients that I take on is not set in stone. I don't have to work a 40-hour week. Now, if I end up working for a literary agency, they're going to decide, how much they want me to work to be able to affiliate myself with them and get their support and their coaching and use their resources, like all of their relationships that they already have. But in the long run, just thinking down the road, I really like the idea of the sort of career that uses my skills and my talents, but does not kind of corner me into a set schedule. That's not really my style. So as it stands right now, like I said, I have a busy schedule. I've got 4 children that I homeschool, and I absolutely love that work. I have lots of other things that I like to do, including YouTube and writing and hiking and, all kinds of things. And I don't necessarily need right this minute a full-time income. And so having a career that I can ease into that builds over time just sounds perfect. And if an internship is the only way I can do that, then I'll do an internship. But if I could just keep, once I've got my certificate and once I'm getting closer to that, to where I can say, hey, here's proof that I'm serious, here's all of my experience. I'm just going to apply at a lot of different agencies and just see what happens, and continue to make relationships, and potentially accept a position that's not exactly what I'm looking for. So maybe I end up working for a publishing company for a little while and then switch over to a literary agency, and just be open to whatever happens, and very, very grateful for anyone who gives me a chance. So for me, because I'm both flexible in my career progression and what I want and need, because I don't have needs for income right this minute, and also because I'm limited just by my other life commitments. I think that I am just going to hustle and try and talk and apply and have conversations and keep thinking about new ways that I can pursue this career and keep learning in the meantime and keep writing. But I think that, like I said, most people end up going through either they come to this career earlier, or they end up finding a career in publishing and then kind of switching gears at some point. But I have been encouraged, as I've gotten to know literary agents, to hear lots of stories about people who had a midlife career shift. Some people even who hadn't been working for decades because they had been raising their children and then decided that this would be, a later in life career. So I don't think that I don't think there's limits on anything. I think all of us just have to work hard to find our path to get there. So I hope that has been helpful. If you're interested in becoming a literary agent, I will continue to update my career progress as it happens. By June of 2022, I will have my certificate. And of course, before that happens, I'll already be looking. So I should have updates relatively soon, even if it's a still looking update. But I'm really enjoying learning and I'm really enjoying the process. And if you are interested in being represented by a literary agent and you're looking for more advice for that, you're welcome to send me a message on Instagram or Facebook. I, of course, only know what I know and don't have personal experience, but I really love that brainstorming and talking shop about it, and I can share resources that I have found helpful. So leave me a comment. Let me know what your impressions about being a literary agent or getting a literary agent are, and what made you click on the video. Is it because you were searching for advice or whatever? I'm really curious to see how you came to my channel. I hope that you subscribe if you want lots more videos about books and writing, because I'm going strong. I am almost at 50 videos, which was my goal for my first year on BookTube, and I'm really looking forward to year number 2 here. So thanks for watching.